Hey, just in time for the sun to come out.
Yeah, beautiful.
Or to actually get low enough to be seen. Council meeting on March 27th, City of Harrington to order. Before we get started, I would like to remind everybody that today is, in fact, National Joe Day. So,
I noticed.
yes. So,
It's all over my Facebook.
good, as it should be, March 27th every year. Okay, for roll call, I'd like to just let it be noted that the members here, all the members are here with the exception of Councilwoman Meets, who is in a excused status tonight. We have no visitors, so we can move right to the Pledge of Allegiance.
Stands one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
You? Okay.
Years, man.
It's been a day or two.
Wow.
Senior.
He is a year older than me. Yeah. Wow. Flashback.
Okay. Any additions to the agenda tonight? Yes, absolutely.
Was that quiet?
Quiet zone. Okay. Anything else?
We're probably going to touch on it now.
Did you guys all get a chance to read and review the minutes from the 13th?
No.
I just gave him.
Give us, Mr. Mayor, 1 minute.
Discussion.
So tell Alicia I've got 500 DVDs. Check out. Oh, I'd love to get rid of them. They're all good movies, you know.
I was gonna say.
Special edition RoboCop.
Oh, dear.
Yeah.
Well, just let her know that your heart bleeds because you're giving up the
I will.
DVDs.
Yeah, it is hard to get rid of them. I mean,
You might watch them sometime again.
when the grid goes dark.
You got your little electric thing.
Yep. Yeah, you have to play them like a record player. DVD.
What's with the big hole in the bed?
Thank you. Any other discussion about the minutes?
I'm good. Let's go.
Okay.
Fine.
Let's get a motion first, second, if there's no further discussion. Do we
Five.
approve? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
400.
Okay. We are gonna go to, just to observe the check register from the 13th, which would be, when seen it, it's, well, it's next to Gap. Yeah, that one.
From the 13th. Is that one there? I copied it off.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll Make a motion to accept them.
Well, it's just,
Well,
this is an
yeah.
observation.
Okay,
so
then
just,
the
yeah,
discussion then, sorry.
yeah.
That's
So
why I had thought.
any discussion?
Yeah, like, it is on. Golly. Let me stand corrected here. Okay, yeah, well, it's, transaction 198, 3/14/24, or 2024. It's the HD Fowler Company,
Mm-hmm.
and the water line connections meter box for the distillery. Um, was that all, what did that all comprise? Do you know what that all entailed?
They had to, they are putting in I think it's an additional line, larger line, to meet the demands of their building. I'm not gonna go into hearsay on
Okay.
what it actually is, but we did not have the proper size commercial box for the meter. So that's, that's part of it. They're like 2 feet by 3 feet, they're concrete, they're heavy, and my BMW did not like carrying them.
Oh,
And then there was just fittings that we needed. Ironically, those ones were not the ones they gave me were not the correct ones. They've taken them back and have replaced them with the proper ones. So,
Is this the same water line? Where I'm going with this is that I believe that building was, the service was chopped off of it at one time.
this
Correct.
is a new service.
This is
Completely
new
brand-
service?
2-inch, a 2-inch line, 2-inch service line.
And we don't charge the building owners, or the landowners for any of this?
This part is on us because it's part of the rest of it, but they are taking care of it. You know, almost.
No, it's Charles. That's it. It's Charles being sold.
So, any other questions about the?
The James A. Sewell, 13,000. We didn't go over this one before.
Yeah. that was- it's-
Last one was the 13th, and these are dated the 14th.
That's when the checks were.
Okay,
So,
okay, we're good.
J. Sewell. Yeah, it's just, that's part of the wastewater system plan, rebuilding, and that's effectively a pass-through,
Right.
so. Okay. Any other further discussion on that?
I am good.
Okay. Approve the new claims, which,
The little one? Second.
discussion?
Registration.
Mhm.
Can you clarify exactly what happened?
I can get more in-depth answer, but my understanding is that's the city of Harrington's cost come down from the auditor's office for elections. They're passing part of those election costs on to us. And I don't know, is that a one-time annual fee?
It's per election. Yeah, because I questioned this as well. Yeah, registration maintenance. That's not including that box rental for both, I mean, that's, I think that was part of it, wasn't it?
Well, I think that's the
Uh,
the only drop on it. I mean, whether you view it as worth the convenience. And citizens. I guess they're trying to recoup the costs of the registration work, but I guess the question in my mind is, if someone lives 100 feet outside of the city limits, who's paying their voter registration costs? If it's the county that is paying, then why does the county end up covering the voter registration costs for a person who's 100 feet outside the city limits, where the county doesn't cover the registration costs for someone who's 100 feet inside the city limits? I can understand if we have elections, we should pay for the cost of our elections because we have someone to elect in there, or we would bear the burden of that office. But voter registration seems more like a county.
Pass that to Steve.
Um, all I can say to that is I will check into it, get some clarification.
I think there, if that's read by either the mayor or, for everybody's benefit.
Okay.
It's probably just takes care of it.
I don't recall seeing it.
RTW, I'd like to see change.
Okay.
I mean, there's probably no investigation at the local level worth doing that. It seems fairly airtight.
But it's the expense of maintaining the voter registration record in all precincts lying wholly within the city or town must be paid by the city or town. Registration expenses for this section include both active and inactive voters. And this is the invoice. She's enclosing this invoice of $1,100 or $1,143.59 for the calendar year of 2023 cost. Thank you. We're paying for voting, so vote, people.
County level, I would like to understand why
We're
rural
not good.
versus city all of a sudden makes the city have to bear it. Everyone is equal on a county level, so why shouldn't the county be bearing the costs? But again, even if everyone in Lincoln County agrees with us, the RCW is still the RCW.
Okay. And, so these are all new. Oh, there's a meter reader and janitorial. Okay. Oops.
Shop tools, if you guys are wondering, apparently we managed to have a toolbox with 0 inches.
Is this, the HD Fowler meter parts?
The
that-
meter parts were they weren't the meters per se, they were the boxes.
Is that for the distillery?
One of them.
Or
we
is this
actually had
another one?
two.
Okay,
Two of
okay,
them.
first fair, okay,
Yeah.
good job. Okay, and then tipping fees.
Half of that, quite honestly, is the cost. Every time we have a water leak, the fittings, the brass fittings, the compression fittings that are used to fix that leak, that's the cost of 10 of them. They're not cheap.
No, they're not. Lincoln County Public Works tipping fees, am I correct? Maybe, maybe not. That this might be the last one, or is there one more coming our way?
I didn't look at the invoice, so I don't know if that's for
I
February's.
thought you
or
said that
March's.
we would pay our own in April. for 1 month and then it going into the cycle? Isn't that what you,
Right, I just don't know if,
It's a advance or in the rear.
where
we are?
what month that service was. I have a suspicion that's probably February. In other words, all the tipping fees for February, and now we're getting the bill to pay it.
We're still.
So we'll have March.
So we'll probably have one more, at least one more.
I'm suspecting we'll have at least one more.
Unless you recall.
Yeah, we'll still have costs for the green waste.
Okay.
And the recycling at that point. But we knew that.
In Avista, is this, don't know off.
It's a monthly.
What is that compared to last month?
It's down about $1,000.
We're down 1,000.
We were upwards of over $7,000 during the height of the winter.
Okay. Yeah, okay.
And we'll continue to work on whittling that down. Getting some of our thermostats under control, so to speak, is the easy way. We talked about the lighting in the library will eventually help
Yeah.
that cost go down.
And for clarification, all the street luminaire lights, that's on this Avista bill as well? I
Yes.
mean, citywide?
Yes, yep. I'll be straight up. If you look at them on a building by building basis, I'm pretty sure there's a commercial rate that we're paying that is significantly larger than a regular homeowner pays.
Right.
I've not compared my home Vista bill to this one, but I have to believe the kilowatt charge is much bigger.
Well, it's another subject, so I'm good.
Chris?
I'm good.
Got a first and a second. All questions are answered. Do we have a motion to, I'm sorry, we have a motion to approve. All in favor of accepting the claims, please signify by saying aye.
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 All in favor, negative, none. Thank you very much. Okay. Okay, Mr. Iverson? The local tel contract is up next, so did you
Okay.
have anything to add?
I can give the council a little update on the fiber project, just like a brief, second update.
Sure.
In like a very general. Did some checking today, we got 91 customers between the four. Fiber service, there's 91 customers currently connected to the fiber network. There's more to come, but more on the books, but there is community
Overall, okay.
Yeah. So I don't remember the exact number of the total, buildings in town, but I would
Well-
think we're nearing a third or something.
Yeah, we send out 250 invoices every month, so that'll give you an indication. Yep.
Yeah. So, it's like enough rate, but- so I think it's being well. That's all. Come Tuesday. So,
I like it.
and you
Hold
signed
on.
up with me.
What's that?
He said you signed up with me.
I might not have been approached by local.
That's and then but on the so I just want to give that yeah Steve mentioned it earlier. I assume I don't know if everybody's heard about that Ziply is buying local Dell equipment. It's will become part of Ziply. It's going to take time for that to happen. It's not an overnight process with FCC regulation. But
Other than the name, it's got the fact that it's
exactly, because and they actually want to maintain local tel as the name. There's one of the values of, and the real end of that, it's a very top level change to the local tel owners are 65, 68 plus, and this was kind of the plan to hand off to another company that's very viable and in this industry. The current owner, Dimitri, he is actually still going to be the president of the local competition for the foreseeable future. So managers, employees, all of that. It's very much as anything could be more of a top, very top. But I just wanted to mention that because it's not that it makes. I don't feel that it should make any difference as to who written. We have written our leases. I do know that our leases are assignable, and so the idea is that we have hundreds of leases like this, agreements or whatever you want to call them, and they are transferable, to an entity under the same terms. So, to be clear, when that process happens, to change because of the way it's designed to do that.
hopefully they stick with the local telling. Sounds
That's-
Ziply sounds
yeah.
like it should be a .com.
Exactly. They definitely do. They are, or maybe, I don't know how much we should spread this around, but they are literally purchasing the logo, the brand, you know what I mean? Like the old owners will not use that, you know what I mean? Because I think that's a value to them. They see that as a reputation.
So, did you guys get a chance
Question.
to read the lease proposed? It's in a sense an extension of the agreement that's already in place. It's just updating the faces. Yeah, it should be listed as Skypipe premises equipment.
Skyfi Trade Services Equipment.
Yep.
Did anything change in it?
Well, this list. Bob has graciously agreed to. And a lot of it wasn't unreasonable. It was just kind of cleaning it up, balancing it out a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Clarifying the insurance information was one of them. And I guess the only other thing there were two things he was cautioning about was making sure that this did not interfere with any other contract that we may have in existence already,
Mm-hmm.
which it doesn't. Like this. The other thing was he made an issue that we were giving up access and we were giving up power to drive the equipment without getting paid for it. But in fact, we are getting paid for it by the exchange of having the internet supplied
Service.
to the city. So,
Okay.
so it's not like we're just giving it.
I can speak on the power a little bit if you want, as far as the value.
Sure.
Oh, but we're getting reimbursed in theory by all power draw on that building
That's true
by
also.
the county.
Right. I think he was
So-
talking about what,
So,
however much is being drawn over at the library.
for
to
example,
drive
like
it.
the
Yeah, yeah.
library, we do have equipment on there, and And so when we do our own meters, there's a meter fees that we include, but if we do our own service drops, they're usually $25 to $30 a month.
Okay.
Is what we pay, Big Band of Vista for a dedicate,
But about a third of that is just the base cost,
exactly.
which is not a new cost to the city. So
It's
dollars.
literally 10 to 15. If I was to put a value to it, it's a 10 to
Yeah.
$15 like kilowatt charge per month. And so that's where we always do the trade of service with the trade of the electricity, feeling that it's a fair value, versus the city paying a normal like $60 a month or $50 a month, for example, bill. Then you do incur the charge of the electricity. Just for clarification.
Okay, so the city attorney approved, and there you go, Dan. Thanks, Bob.
Yeah.
So, did we need a motion for?
Oh, you asked about it. I think we added some internet connections actually, because I changed the wording from the original agreement that was years ago. And so, this is a pretty cool. We said 6 now. We left it variable for the city to be able to
We
choose.
get 6 different hookups, so there's 3 obvious ones, 4 obvious ones.
I would propose let's vote on this contract, and then assuming that we vote yes, let's then move to a discussion of some implications, because there's a few things we should specify here once we're operating under the guise of it.
Sure.
Yeah, and so I just wanted to make sure you guys were knowing that. And those locations are very set in stone. So have service there. Change it later and we start determining what service delivery. Now we want service. They're not set in stone for the duration of the lease. The number is what we're looking at. You know what I mean? Just to clarify that.
Well, and then also under section 5A and B, those 6 sit as separate to the memorial,
Correct. Yep.
because the Memorial Hall one has some special considerations to
Yeah.
it, which
Yeah.
we can talk about in the section we talked about.
Yeah.
Further.
So then we could look at it we can add all the sections together, or the subsections, if 7.
Right.
Then either way, it was written.
So
Just for clarification.
Which at least $50 a month per connection. You're talking about a $350 a month value. Potential.
So
I move the adoption of it.
A second.
further discussion.
These, I just have maybe a question for Bob. Non-exclusive use and control. The sand and receive. C-bands, is that? It's,
I modified that on the latest. I actually removed that clause. I did remove the send and receive. On the
Oh, that
latest.
sentence in its entirety is just supposed to be out.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's not the copy that
I can make sure I can make sure I can make sure we send. But I removed those because the reason I removed those, the attorney had some question about that.
Yeah, the bottom line is, I don't think we can dictate one way or another the use of radio waves. That's a function of the FCC.
right, but my question is, mainly, is that you're gonna be transmitting those frequencies?
Exactly. So those are the frequencies we all currently use and have around us. So with
Stuff.
and what the reason we put that clause, traditional contracts is when we work with a private property owner. Municipalities are different, and so we do massage the contracts from a private property owner. But with like the Highline grain growers, we put that in there so that it limits for our benefit that they can't have another company come in and put equipment in that interferes with our equipment. And so that's the reason for that clause, but we removed that on the kind of the request of, yeah, because, yeah. And what, and the second reason I removed that is, local Pell, we get license frequencies from the FCC. We have the availability. It costs us, we take care of
Right.
the licensing fees and all that. So if, and in that sense, I am protecting myself. So if I determine it's necessary to put a license frequency on our tower, that's a local tel cost, that's a local tel thing, and the FCC control that. And the city in our agreement doesn't need to encompass that. Because, you see what I'm saying? So
Right.
I just took it out because I felt if we feel as a local government, we need to purchase a frequency, we have the ability to do that, and that can be outside of the agreement. You know what I'm saying? It
Right.
doesn't need to be specified in the agreement.
I was just curious, the location of these towers, the transmit.
So currently, the only one is at the library,
Okay.
and the only other place, well, this office receives a signal to have internet from Oakville, and the sewer plant receives signal. The Memorial Hall has always been on fiber for a long time now, so it actually doesn't send or receive other than your own wireless routers internally, but it doesn't have.
The only
No.
potential addition this would be is that they would potentially put a transmitter out that way to be able to feed.
Well, that's my concern. I live down there.
Yep.
Not at the third plant, but close.
So to alleviate that kind of concern, so these are all FCC licenses. You guys say today, any company in the world, with FCC license, put this to your house without FCC. So we're using, what I'm trying to get at is we're using very much FCC license rules, regulations that are in around the country.
Do you know what kind
It's
of wattage the signals?
So these are limited to 1 watt, total power. So,
And they're it's a narrow antenna, right?
yeah,
'Cause
and
if
it's
you're-
very directional,
if you
exactly.
see
It
the
is.
towers, you're not gonna be broadcasting as an omnidirectional. It's gonna be a very targeted
It's a
beam.
very-
So,
It
okay.
probably will go right
but-
over your house.
But I'm happy to answer.
but it's not, not like, okay, here it is. It just
Blast out.
fogs the whole town.
Yeah.
It's
No,
not that. Okay.
that would be more like the cell tower, for
Okay.
example, which is also very much FCC licensed, very much controlled and dominated by. And I'm not gonna lie to you, there's huge controversy from the people holding cell phones in their head or
Right.
your laptop wireless. That is sending, that one's sending a signal, that one's sending a signal, that one's sending a signal, and you probably have cell phones. So all of these are controlled and there is controversy about it. I don't have the answer to the controversy, but there is some controversy.
You would say it's maybe fair to say that there's more wattage coming down from the top of the tower back. Than there
Yes,
will be going overhead to
just
keep
like
that in
a,
focus.
correct. Yep. And specifically more from a cellular level because it's not, so when we send the signal out, it's only talking to the units on the roofs. You've probably seen our antennas on the roofs. Those units talk back. But when you have the cellular and other devices, those units are talking from that unit back. And so your transmitter then is much more closer proximity.
If I remember
So,
correctly, cell phones are about 6/10.
yeah, they're greatly reduced now because of this. But it's a valid question. It's correct,
Yeah.
but
Is it ham radio?
they don't interfere. They run on their own FCC license
'Cause I don't
segment. So
I
we
don't
have
remember what
segments.
frequency.
Yep. Yeah.
They're in 2 meter.
Yep. So they could be down to like 60 megahertz or 10 megahertz. And we're in gigahertz and we
Yeah.
have kilohertz. And so there's very much really FCC ruled, regulated channel spaces and different spaces, just like broadcast TV, the old, which we really don't see much right anymore. But your satellite dish, I believe the satellite dish runs at something around 13 or 15 gigahertz, where we use 5. So even satellite dishes on your home are receiving signals. They don't necessarily send signals. The satellites are receiving only. They're one-way communications, but those are frequencies that are coming down and
Are these-
blanketing.
Would these be
us.
considered, I forget a lot of this, but VHF, UHF?
Yeah, so VHF is 150 megahertz and UHF is 450 megahertz.
Okay, so,
And then you get up to like 800 megahertz, and cell phones are around 1.3 gigahertz, so 1300,
It's on its own
1300
scale, right?
megahertz.
Okay.
Yeah. And then there's some 3.5, which are 3500. So, we put the letters in there to convert it, but if you look at it from the base number, right, you can see how it goes from hundreds to thousands, even up to millions, technically, when you look at the frequency number being
Well,
compressed.
that was kind of my concern. And being the location down there in the hole, let's say, and it is, why they chose to go in the hole and not up on the hill where own that property, that would be easier for you to
So one thought
hit
that I
hit your
had
targets.
for us using the system, so we're using the library because of the NoaNet fiber. So the real beginning of this whole working together as a company in the city was because NoaNet had the fiber into the basement of the city hall, but the city, they were looking at a $400 a month bill to turn on that fiber service, and that was outside of the budget of the city. This goes back quite a few years with the history, and so Spectrum was my company back then.
Yeah.
And I decided that, hey, NoaNet says, Bob, you can resell this. You don't just hook up one house. Use your antennas, and we want you to hook up more. So we incurred the cost of that monthly fee, and then put the antennas up to serve the community to share that cost where the city was unable to afford that. Now with the new fiber, the new fiber costs in the new Lincoln County network, now, that is more of a budgetary about, you guys could probably, afford in your budget to pay for the services outside of my support. You know what I mean? Like individually.
Well, even the total of 7 fiber connections totals to $350 a month if you would pay out.
Yes.
And it's still the same kind of dollar figure.
Right.
But I was thinking that we might, the one possibility, and I don't know the future of the buildings and stuff, if this city has an arrangement with this building and it is beneficial and we work with the property owner, make sure things are okay, that antenna, instead of being at the sewer plant, could be at this facility or it could be at another facility. So we could discuss, is there a better facility under this agreement to shoot up to the tower, for example? So I'm not saying we have to be beaming from one specific spot. So if there is a concern, we could always, it's not real specified in the lease what facilities of the city we use, but even the city shop, for example, could potentially be a B use. If you guys felt like there was a reason that let's not do it over there, put it in the city shop, it's a better spot. Those would be
Even the back of Memorial
open.
Hall
Yeah, the back
with
room
would be
would be,
perfect because it's
and just
there's
go straight up.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing between it.
And I'm very, we're very flexible and open about those because with the advent of this new fiber coming in, what we had the old tower at the library, now we've opened up some flexibility with this new system. Now, not so married to physical. If that would be of interest or beneficial.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, Bob.
Yeah.
Where were we?
Well, we're in the middle of discussion.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of
I kind of took us off track, I thought. But, It was all good information.
So, any other questions or discussion?
I'm good.
Okay. So we have a motion on the table to approve the lease with Localtel. All in favor, say aye.
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 Thank you. It's 400.
Okay, so now under the context of this agreement, I think we can start specifying some of those locations so that you guys can get the installs on
Correct.
this location.
Yep.
Obviously, and you can make your own confirmation, but just until the day that you guys can, you can take it.
Correct.
Which for the councils, that's their person that we've been bumming their internet connection until this moment came. So that will no longer be necessary, and so we can take that. You said you ordered the other. Did you put it in the cart or did you order it?
It's in the cart.
Okay, we
Because
should
I
talk
wanted to
about
find
that.
out how many were ultimately gonna.
Okay, so we'll talk about that in a sec. We can let Bob go and we'll talk about equipment at Memorial Hall and equipment here. But this would be one location, the library would be 2, city shop would be 3. The wastewater treatment plant for the benefit of the sensors is 4. That to put security cameras up, or at least give us the option
Right.
to if we want to. And since the internet would be there anyway, we could make free Wi-Fi at the park available because it'd be there anyway. So that's 5. I don't know if we have 6 to specify at this time. We don't need to, but is there a 6th city property that we should specify? Because we could figure it out now. We can just give him the full list and he can get them all on the install schedule.
I don't think we're close to it, but quite honestly, the cemetery, once we proper computer system up there so people can find,
Their sites and people, yeah.
have a database, with a database so people can.
When he gets back, we can talk to him about that, because one interesting provision in here is section 5C about antenna locations. I doubt they're gonna be able to get fiber into the cemetery, but they could put a Skyfire up there. Does that shack has to have power, right? Because that's where it runs the
Sprinklers and stuff.
sprinkler system, right?
I don't think I'd want to attach much more further than that.
I know, but my point is that in theory,
Power's there.
power's there and it's something there is probably not going away, right? We know that building's gonna have to be replaced at some point, and we've gone in circles again and again and again on what and where exactly in the backside of the cemetery, but in general, something will be there, right?
Right.
I think they brought. I think fiber made it under the road, to that side. Maybe not all the way to the cemetery, but I think it went
Right, well, he'll know, we'll have to, what he can do with it, but does anyone have any ideas of what else? Cause I'm just trying to think of city properties and everything in general from one end to the other. The park at the north end is not anything, it's like no one spends time there to use it, we wouldn't have cameras. The Greenview Park is not a thing.
The dumping, how about the pit down here where we have a bench?
Oh, we did talk about it.
Keeps it.
That's probably. We own that building, right? Does that have power or did that get cut years ago?
Well, if it is, we can turn it back on.
I thought I heard that under Dylan's administration that something came up and that service got terminated. We'd have to pay a reconnection fee. Anyways,
This is the last location I think we could handle. I think the one, these first 5.
pretty clear.
Yeah. Okay. Um,
Yeah, and like, yeah, so the mayor can convey those. I mean, the best way probably would be let's, email them, you know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
that it's kind of, yeah.
Will do.
And then, and like I said, we, in if you have a location that's just, properly by the fiber net, the boys do have
well, that's what we were just talking
the
about.
wireless
The
as a,
cemetery,
you know,
how practical would the cemetery or would that
That-
sky?
I believe they did not build the cemetery. The cemetery, I do not believe. I have the designs. I can look. I can bring up the designs on the computer because I have the county's fiber designs. But I don't believe they engineered the fiber to service the cemetery.
No, I think it got to that other side.
It is on the. It's that the house is on the other
Yeah.
side, and we actually we have a little bit of an easement slash communication issue along the Catholic Church there, and that's something that the county and other people need to work on.
Sure.
But there was some powerful easements that I think were overlooked in so I don't believe the cemetery has, but if there's electricity there, we can always do a signal from the tower because of course, like trying to bore on Highway 20 or like
Which is-
you know what I
Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have to come up.
or do it, yeah.
But yeah, so we'll send an email to Bob confirming City Hall, library, shop, park, and
Yeah,
Oh,
city hall, library, shop.
yeah,
Oh, can you say that again, Stephen, if you remember 'em?
City Hall, shop, library, wastewater treatment, and park. And we'll put that in writing in the email, but we can get on, as soon as you guys want to get on these installation, that'd be great.
And if you guys, while I'm here, it might be on the city park. Are we thinking more like on the old bathroom house? So,
The new ones.
okay, I'll drive by. So,
And is there some kind of an attic space, a little,
So you've got the two loos. In the back, there's a closet.
that's what I thought. I was thinking there was like a maintenance area.
Yeah,
With-
it's where all the electrics are. It's where the switches are. That's the circuit breaker boxes right there. So
Yep. So I can look at the design. Yep.
and then when we do that, we could get some extra Ethernet cable to the phones by the center.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Because then we would at least have the option of putting the weatherproof access point right over in the center and extend.
I see. Yep. Yep.
Which would also get us closer if we wanted to shoot a camera at the gazebo for security purposes. Allow us to cover the Memorial Hall property for like, they just had that golf sport dinner there and 75 people. The local tel is giving us a hotspot to run it now. What's currently over there. But if we want to do a better and fuller job with that, we would need to do the hardware ourselves. But they were generous enough to make it so that we don't have to get an electrician or I don't have to run it overhead myself. So the cables will be there for us to just plug in and good to go. So thank you.
Does that work under our license?
yeah, because we do have events over there that have hundreds of people through there. The golf courses, we've got everything that happens there. But anyway, is incredibly well covered. So it'd be a nice service to promote.
Yeah.
So
And the fiber service has the ability, the one little wireless box today, I could see if we had too many people that it would become overloaded and not be able to supply, even though the fiber is supplying service. And I think that's the hardware Steve's talking about, being able to more utilize the internet that is available.
okay.
You guys, yeah, I just, from cover your questions and stuff, but thanks, guys, once again, for.
Thank you for
Oh, yes.
chewing through it with us.
Thank you,
Yes.
Bob.
And I'll, we'll definitely get to work on the orders. The Memorial Hall technically is already done in fiber.
Okay.
City Hall's.
Okay.
Or old city, hall, the libraries. So this one will be, you know, and of course, the new house that you don't have. I'm feeling we should prioritize City Hall. You know what I'm saying, you know.
Yeah, well,
So-
it also allows Slack to turn off, Slack to
Correct.
turn off theirs.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's, anyway, so I'll prioritize this one.
Okay.
Anyway, thanks, guys.
Okay.
Thank you.
Nice to
Thank
see
you.
Yeah.
Okay, so real quick before we move on to the next agenda, what I wanted to talk with you guys about. Be able to use these properly. We had cheaper routers and stuff for lesser internet connections, and now they're better internet connections, and we're gonna try and cover things properly for the Memorial Hall. So I'm looking for somewhere, and again, you'll see these when we actually do plan, right? So this is not a vote to approve funding, because that would come later, but I'm looking for maybe somewhere as a total of $700-800 to put the hardware behind all these sites to broadcast the signal we're supposed to, and have something that's going to last a good long time, going to be easy to maintain, something that should really last us. I would expect over a decade, probably more, unless there's some kind of a lemon that we get purchases. But
And we don't need to have super high-tech stuff at the shop. It's just
No.
One, maybe two stuff.
right, so we're trying to size it appropriately, but also buy things that are going to last us a good long time instead of some of the cheap stuff that's been there before. Does anyone have any questions or objections to that, so that no one's surprised when they see some of that on later?
Sounds like a good idea.
Thanks.
Yep. Okay. Water system and wastewater operator contracts. This is probably hitting you all a little bit out of left field, but I put everything in there. We've been bouncing this issue around for some time now. They're not necessarily contracts, but I included two service agreements, if you will, at least the or the rates they're in charge.
Is this the estimate, Emerald Creek?
Emerald Creek is
Okay.
one, SJ is the other one, SJ Environmental. So some of you may remember Sam Sneed, who came and talked to the council a year and a half ago. That's part of SJ, is the same escrow.
Okay.
And to cut to the chase, I think their estimate was $5,600 a month or so.
5,200.
52. Okay.
And with the additional, so yeah, that's. not-
Yeah. So that's basically to do the management of the water system and the wastewater system,
Our drinking water and,
drinking water
And
and,
the sewer.
and the sewer. Then, so I had a sit down here with Casey Manji, who is currently our operator, and we went through what it is that what the system needs. And she pretty consistently, she asked me 2 or 3 times, what does the city need from her? And my answer was consistently a contract. Because we don't have a contract with her right now. So she's just been doing it. The charge has been pretty much the same. And you guys see that on the claims just about every month. $3,400. Then came along Emerald, who I've sat down and walked him through the entire city. So he saw everything that was going on, including the wastewater treatment plant. I've given everybody the same material to give estimates. So everyone knows our wastewater treatment plant is going to be rebuilt, should be done by next year, what that means. gave them the best overview I could of our water system. I talked a little bit about that more later. And nobody knew what everyone else's numbers were, and these are the numbers that came up. So I can tell you we've all had some concerns about the water system as it is, and maintenance of it, and what's being done with it and what's not being done with it. With 3 opportunities, I just thought it gave us 2-3 years ago, we didn't have any options. Now we do. And just to let you know, the SJ, I believe, is based out of Moses Lake. And they would be making a specific trip up here once a week to go through the plant, get samples, do all the rest of that stuff. And they've got a number of employees that that's what they do. Emerald City is a little bit different. He is an employed operator in another small town south of here. But because there's not enough business to keep him busy, he is banded with other people like situation. And they have come up with this company to basically service smaller towns like ours. So he has a specific route. So he's driving past Harrington once a week, whether he's stopping here or not. So bottom line is we get everything that we're currently getting for less money, and he will physically be here. I believe it's actually Devin. It's going to be here specifically.
Is there a question? I see like SJ, administrative support, $40, operator field services, $45, mileage outside of proposed services per IRS approved rate. So it looks like what you see is not what you're gonna get. There's a lot of add-ons.
With SJ.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think they're just covering the base on an if ever point of view. If we were having a system emergency, they're specifying the additional costs that they would have to do to come out here.
So when they're coming up here just to take the test or come up here and stuff, that does not apply as additional service?
Correct. That's just part of their basic
Okay,
cost.
okay.
And I should say all of these companies, all 3, all agree that they will bring our public works employee
Up to speed?
up to speed, help train them. They all admit that they could be basically training their replacement. But I can also tell you that it's not going to happen in 6 months. There's
Right.
a lot of regulations that they have to go through, and I believe they require literally 2 years of system operation before they can even take the tests. So
Become a level 2.
to become a level 2. I can tell you, I really questioned what all this meant, and I did some research, and you would not believe the volume of information that they have to take from all these tests and everything, and they have to input it into the state's computer system and all the rest of it to develop all of it. It's staggering.
I guess the question that I would like clarification, what is it costing us currently? And like, for example, Anatech Labs, the $2,900, a little over $2,900 water testing. And then we have Casey Mongi at $3,400. Would that part go away and we pay these guys, you think?
Casey Mongi goes away,
Mm-hmm.
and a tech doesn't.
That is,
That is still the testing agency here, so we can't.
was that for was that for 1 month, the 2960? Seems like, it's
Anatech?
pretty, yeah, and that seems pretty high.
They did raise their rates. If I remember correctly, that was for multiple tests.
It seems like it's pretty high for 1 month. Anatech, so 485 and 530, 485 and 530 is on the claim, so I guess we kind of answered that. Just going forward, what we need to expect.
Well,
I like the idea.
we have an opportunity to cut our costs and see if we train properly and get let's say, just one more level of knowing that it's getting done and you don't have to question
Yeah, I know the
that
word.
it's yeah.
Exactly. Well, what do you feel? You talked about these folks, right?
I've talked to all of them. SJ did say that they were negotiable on what their rate was going to be, but when I saw the other one, I don't think
They'll go that low.
I'd be stunned if anybody was that negotiable.
But you did say the ones from Waverly or Emerald Creek would do the
They're driving
training,
by all the time.
and they would do the
So
training?
he has one day a week that he is not working. So he's not working full time at the city that he works for. And he's got, like I said, other people to do that. So it's not just him. He's got backups if somebody gets sick or hurt or what have you.
Where is Waverly?
South of here, it's down there by I think it's
Colfax and Fairfield. And,
Oh,
I was talking, and it's down,
Oh,
sort of down that way, Whitman County.
Is there anything that SJ would say
I think-
they would provide that Emerald is?
What was your question? Again?
Was, if there was anything SJ was claiming to provide that Emerald was not?
no, very.
the Emerald one isn't as specific.
And then you didn't get the feeling a bait and switch type thing, lure you in and then, okay, by the way. Yeah. It's okay. So that would mean that we would no longer be responsible for transporting samples, taking samples. I mean, we would have a contract with this guy to do that.
Casey Mangia right now is responsible for doing what you just described.
Right.
This person takes that whole thing over.
Have you spoken with any of the other clients?
No. Sweet.
Does this, if I name some places, did he tell it? I think I know about this guy with other town. And they're happy. If it's, how long a contract does Emerald want? Is it a year to year or is it a?
He was saying he was saying a year. He didn't write it in his agreement, but he was saying
And SJ wanted 3, I believe. Well, to be perfectly honest, I don't know what to happen in 3 years.
it's going to be. Let's face it, folks. It's going to be a very busy year and a half down there. That was what I think. And quite honestly, I mean, I can get into it right now. It kind of goes into Mayor's comments, but it's going to be a very busy couple of 2-3 years with the water system also. I think
So given that scope, do we want to lock in a price for longer than 1 year with this guy? With that, if he'd be willing to,
I'd be happy to
you know?
ask.
I have a question. This guy sounds good, but what happens if he falls by the wayside somewhere and we've got the contract that he's unable to get back in Anatech or with somebody else?
If they just completely crumbled and failed, then we'd be in the same boat.
Well, it's just because he's new, is what I'm saying, you know.
New to us.
New to us.
New to
He's
us.
he's been doing this for about a year. He's been doing
Okay.
water system stuff for system operator for many years.
And I like to keep in mind, if they're willing to train whomever we have here, and we have a more than a year contract and treat them well, it's a win-win. If all the bases are covered, there's no hidden, and being it's hectic down there, whomever we're training, in the long run, then that, would it be cheaper to us? Probably not, but I mean, that they would require more. That's another discussion.
I
But
get the
we're here.
impression that getting the samples it's a little bit like the conversation we had about the surveyor.
Mm-hmm.
Going and actually shooting the lines and getting the measurements and all the rest of it, that's a wee part of the whole process. It's all the book time, all this screen time, inputting data, getting
The data part.
the data part, the data entry part. So yeah, I mean, if we could save money and our public works person was the one that was pulling those, maybe it was as simple as he had them all pulled and ready to go. He was trained to do them, so when they came by, all they did was just have to do the chain of command or chain of custody, pass them to him, he takes them into Energy.
And this may be a little presumptuous, but looking forward, I mean, we have the internet and stuff. They could be even testing it down here in the future, and inputting it, all that stuff. Boom, here at this facility
Yeah,
would be my goal. Is we have our own.
we have. So there was a discussion. On in a genes. We have to be there like once a week to clean it and do the rest of it. It's kind of
Well, we're kind of already there. And I always maintain we need somebody. We need our public works and we need a sewer department. That would be ideally what we need. But that's,
there's a lot of ideals.
I mean, honestly, because we'll get back to the other, poor Scotty was spending all his time down there and this was suffering over here. So we went and had Casey and what is actually the requirements? Because personally, I think what the state's requiring a small town of this size, or any town of this size, is utterly ridiculous and asinine.
From what I understand, what they view a level 2 wastewater treatment plant, there is somebody physically at the plant 40 hours a week working. Yeah. We do not have a 40-hour a week wastewater treatment. Especially considering we're doing all the rest of the public works things. If they were out there clearing the clogs and making sure the sewer lines were clear and all the rest of it, that'd be a different story. But that's not. We're just talking about the guy that's watching the poo come into the tank and get filtered out and do this and that. And
The taste tester.
so,
Yeah.
so
So, I mean,
as mayor, I will tell you this: we need to do something. So this is an opportunity. Want to go and get some more clarifications on stuff? I'd be happy to do it. But
I think it's worth a shot because I think in the past, there's been some concerns, issues, and some of it's been, because of the distance and communications. And if we can alleviate a lot of that, then that's a plus. And eventually, this is one step working to forward to becoming self-sufficient. So,
Kind of on that topic, but found out through this whole process too that samples do not have to be they have packaging at Anatech. It probably costs us $10 to mail it to them, like on a priority ship. And yes, $10 adds up, but compared to time and wage and fuel, I mean, we'll spend $10 just getting the spray.
and that brings me up to another kind of addition, flows into this. Where in Harrington do we have a FedEx or UPS drop-off pickup or anything like that? We don't.
Just USPs.
So what would it take to get a
People are gonna come into your business in order to drop off packages, and then they're gonna buy a coffee, or they're gonna buy trinkets from the Davenport Pharmacy, or it's gonna increase your business. That's how you're gonna get your payment for the extra things we're gonna ask of you. And let's just say it's split as to whether people really feel that.
like for the city hall here to do that?
Down his view. Wait.
I know, well, I'll just go, all my soil samples, every farmer's soil samples they take every year, or several times. And other stuff. I know we have Amazon and UPS and everybody running around, but Davenport, you go over there and they were okay, but I don't know what happened, but I go to the airport and drop it off when we have to, or drive it down to just like myself. But I'm not the only animal in town here that would benefit from that. So
Then see if we yes for that privilege.
Well,
That's my-
what's our schedule for dropping off sewer sample or water, whatever
I believe
samples,
it's once a week.
you
So,
know?
but he said they're going last. I said, I can drop it off. I gave the spiel, I'm in town once a week, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, we're going through there anyway.
Right,
It's
yeah.
part of my route. Just go right past Amatech and drop it all off right there. I'm just saying if we got in a jam or a bad snowstorm or something like that and they're having difficulty get out,
Right.
Ken's trained to do it, pulls the samples, he puts it in a box, drops it in the mail. Because they have to get it in a certain time frame.
Correct.
So,
You have to keep it at a certain temperature, cryogenically
I think there's temperature range, but it's cold.
That is one service I think this town, the city, we don't have a bus line going through there anymore for many years because they used to drop parts from that part. That was one thing that really benefited the community.
I had to drop off at the UPS in Airway Heights today. But it was really good to do.
Do I have a motion?
Okay.
I move that the council authorize with two changes, one that would be for a term of 2 years. And second of all, contingent upon a call to their client to just see if everything checks out. Mayor has any concerns.
I second that motion.
I just think we should do a little due diligence in making sure we talk to someone who's been on the other side before we actually.
Okay.
Okay. It's been first and seconded to accept Emerald's proposal with the 2-year contract and a double check on the contingents or the contingent on checking out references from other cities. Any further discussion?
I think we covered it.
Okay.
So we're good. Mayor?
Favor?
Aye.
400. Thank you. Okay. The next topic, you guys are kind of coming in blind on this one, but I gave them both to you. This is quite honestly a little bit of housekeeping. When I was talking to the people that are trying to finish up this and codify them, they pointed out that still reflect Ordinance 130, which did in 5%, which is from 1957. And one of the things within there said that elected officials will take office in June.
Yeah. So,
So that has been negated for a long time by the state taking the election process, or at least dictating government the election process. So I had suggested, okay, well, we can just, not worry about 130 since it's been superseded by state RCWs. And her suggestion was we probably just to keep things clean, do it, or do a new ordinance. So I looked at 130. There's talking about caucuses and all sorts of things that we don't do anything at all with it. That was part of it. Was it also dictated the election of a treasurer? And even though we'd fixed that, there was issues. So I drafted an ordinance for you guys to approve that basically says our elections are done by the state statutes. It clarifies there will be a mayor and 5 council people, and which 130 does also. It also dictates the frequency and the sequence. It's mayor and 3 council. Next election cycle, it's 2 council, which is what it is currently right now. But and then that was pretty much it. The rest of what was in 130 was pretty much outdated. And
okay. The one, okay. That's basically all the changes then, right, Mr. Mayor?
as far as a change, yeah, it just simply says that we are abandoning 130 in a June election time and all the caucuses and hearings that go with the fact that we're following the state RCWs when the elections are done by the county.
Did we, the only, just for ease of reading and understandability, years coming. Number 1, where it says ordinance number 130 has been repealed, could we, comma, state with another ordinance number, da, 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 whatever it is?
I'm open to whatever.
I'm just saying, you know how much hassle we've had, a lot of us looking at old ordinances and coming up, and if it's written in here, okay, it's appeal, 130 is trash can, or, just for, I guess if it was something, ordinance number, whatever, will be there. Yes, that's the only thing. Other than that,
I don't know which ordinance is next, but I can easily change that.
I mean, that's just a simple, yeah.
Move to approve.
I'll second it.
Seconded with that change, then repealed by ordinance, and I'm just going to put a blank space there so we can fill it in like that.
Yes, correct. That'll be fine.
First and seconded by Stephen and David. Any further discussion, questions?
No, I'm good.
We have first and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Now, if I can clean the dust out of my house as easily.
Oh, good, right?
I just threw in there, any council committee updates, just in general. Anybody have anything new to add for some of the stuff that they've been working on?
The only thing I suggest for council tonight is that, council member Chris Moritz and I are on the, employee handbook. And we've made, we've come across some things for change, but I think it would be more beneficial to, serve in a workshop. So all the council, so we can kind of bat through it together.
Oh,
Agree,
yes, would
disagree.
just love to have a workshop.
Because at one of these meetings here, the public or listening, anybody, they're gonna be bored and turn it off. Maybe they already did. I don't know. But, you know, it's something that we shouldn't punish them listening to anyways. I mean,
Okay.
that's just my recommendation.
Any idea of dates?
I am open whenever the mayor's, schedule is fitting.
So the next Wednesday is the 3rd. 10th will be a regular council meeting.
You want to do it, several hours before, or how's that? Yeah.
I prefer not to have it next Wednesday because I've got a bunch of stuff scheduled all day long.
You want to do it the 17th then, which is the non-regular, so council meeting on the
And I'll get through it a little bit more.
10th, and then have a workshop on the 17th.
So you would not want it on April 3rd, which is Wednesday, and the 10th is our regular scheduled council meeting. So the 17th would work. And two things, in the past, I think we've got more traction out of doing that. But I think, Councilman, Wiener's committee. Together, done a good job so far recording that we just need to pound out. Done off mic or public is invited, but
Yes.
no need to tie up time.
Yeah.
We
can discuss, banter, just can't make decisions. Okay. 17th. Yeah. So,
Thanks, Mr. Mayor.
surplus items declarations. Let's not get too deep into this, but, and we can bring this up at a workshop, maybe even, but it goes back to the surplus resolution that I had suggested,
Mhm.
that we should probably get cleaned up. Because as my example is, otherwise,
Can I use it in front of my house?
Well, actually, is it old enough to put it in the museum?
Talking to the gun or just
No, the case.
That's a good one.
just
That looks like a
This
mirror's
actually
case.
puts out my-
Yes.
you microwave it.
Have you done any checking? Is that even anybody interested in it?
I.
Me.
I was thinking of probably paying for the sheriff clearance and
I don't know if it's XK or KA band, any of that. So.
But the bottom line is, I have to do this, I have to bring this to you, I have to bring the pipe. Do you want to put a price on it and sell it? Do you want to put out Craigslist, surplus?
It's a nice case.
So, anyway, I just thought I'd use that to
Well,
point.
that's a good analogy. And we totally get your plight.
Yeah, so I would like Because I would like to, I promised everyone, and we've done a fantastic job of getting things cleaned up. Just,
I believe recap, I think your suggestion was to authorize you up to a certain dollar amount to dispose of without council having to
having to take each and every item to.
itemize it, yeah.
So, so anyway, I'll move
So you're
on.
not gonna open it up and let us take a look at it? Turn it on, see if it works?
I'm pretty sure it needs electricity connected to a car. You're more than welcome to afterwards. You
that's
can take a look at
I
it.
mean, I think what you gave, I mean, maybe we're not ready to roll on it, but I guess where I'm at is I thought what you proposed was good enough. To David's point about if there's a area that a councilman wants to get injected, put themselves in the middle of it, you know, they have an expertise. I'd say we could amend what you proposed and say that a councilman could request review of any items and any councilman could veto it to the council's vote, right? And that way, so like if David says, I'd like to take a look at everything, and you go, yep, that's okay, that's okay, that's okay, not that, I want to talk about that as the council, then it comes to the vote.
And
And probably that'll be enough.
And if that's oversight, I mean, it could be literally take a picture, send it out to the email to that person, and say, yep, plate pipes. Care.
Does anybody know what this is?
Yeah, well, there's, yeah, because how bad would we feel if we found out that was a widget that was worth tens of thousands of dollars? Okay, we'll just revisit that. HHPC budget stated. Heard from some people after putting the budget. Stabilized and secured based on our own ordinances. So should we table that until we address that point?
I would vote to do that, to table it.
Besides, unless they have made it.
Okay, additions to the agenda, you wanted to.
Council's blessing to federal railroad administration stuff, that you can, a town can declare themselves a quiet zone.
Really?
And if you meet a certain set of requirements, they have a calculation of what are the risks for each crossing. And you have to have it signed and lighted and gated, which we already have all that. And then you might have to put up an additional sign and a few other little items. But there's a potential that if we meet a certain score, we can just vote it and send the notification to the FRA and to BNSF, and they are obliged to have to abide by it. So I would to pursue that. Consider that potentially one of my greatest accomplishments on
bless-
council.
I bless you.
You know, personally, they don't bug me a bit. I lived here.
My dad was a railroad engineer and they don't bother me. I used to sleep.
I mean, I've learned to live.
Well, I guess, yeah, give Levi a call.
Oh, yeah.
However,
I'm not
I
far
do know
from him, so-
years ago, years of riding the train in there back and forth and playing up there. The issues with the state, whatever guru or what. handle they go
UTC.
by. Yeah, thank you. And they want us to put markings down and pillow cottons everywhere so we, protect you.
Yeah,
So-
that's due May 31st, by the way.
So, I'm not making fun of our council members, but I certainly, I don't know how that's gonna conform to, okay, no more whistles. Is it gonna have to enhance our crossings more.
I don't
You
think I think it greatly reduces what the, if I'm understanding it
Okay.
correctly, but this is just the blessing of the council to pursue, because a vote would come later once we understand everything. And I don't know for certain whether our crossings even
Would-
meet the requirements.
Hmm.
And again, the federal administration is not going to allow us to do anything that's more unsafe than they think a town should be able to do, right? It's like you have to meet certain safety things to even be eligible for this provision. So this is just to see, do we have that option? And then we can have the vote to say, do we feel like any safety risks by not having the whistle are worth it? For the
Well, I have no problems. You have my blessing if you want to go try, if you can check into it. I have no reservation.
the councilman who perhaps lives in the most well, Janice is pretty close too, but
Yeah, I was
I'd
gonna
love
say,
to see it.
yeah, she's next to
Yeah.
some other people. She's unobstructed, straight in her
Well,
face.
Jerry and
Yeah, we're right there too.
they're
Yeah.
right parked right there. Yeah.
But I guarantee you where I live, where you live, it's gonna be louder, the reverberations and direction. I hear 'em where I'm at, just like I'm standing next to the track.
Wait till
Doesn't
those,
this doesn't bother me.
No.
wait till those wind turbines are in,
Yeah,
and that whole sound point.
that's gonna be a big battle, my friend. I think that's gonna be oh, man.
I think I got what I need. Thank you.
Okay, go for it.
Thank you for that.
Right.
That was
It's kind of exciting. Okay, I will try to keep mayor's comments to a dull roar. Okay, I sent you guys a document to review. Show this. Okay.
You don't have it, Chris?
no, didn't get that.
So I'll summarize it.
It's in here. It's in here, but you printed it for me.
I'll just summarize it. There was a dog that got out of the house last Friday. In the process of this and that and the other thing, a person did get a dog bite. I don't know how severe it was. I'm assuming I know it came from trying to separate the dog. One dog was attacking another dog. The dog that was being walked was the owner was trying to separate the two, and I think she got hit in the process.
She,
So
this Chris Christensen.
that is a he.
Yes.
Is that
So
same
not
dog?
that's not the one who got bit. And yes,
Oh,
it is.
okay.
So I've had a conversation with the owner of the dog that did the biting. And the bottom line is they are working on securing a new home for the dog. They believe they found one, and in the meantime, they are keeping the dog with them even when they go to work, so that the dog is not unattended. They had been taking steps to try and prevent this from happening, but it literally went through a dog kennel inside of the house, somehow managed to eat its way out of the house.
Kind of like Turner and Hooch.
Kind of like. So bottom line is, you may hear it, it's been discussed. The dog's owner that did the biting knows that he will be getting a citation for this. Understand? Necessarily.
City would
And-
be have pockets and
Or, yeah, if it's not directly affecting us. So that's because that comes up. So that was that. I did meet with the commissioners for the county on Monday, last prayer Monday. I had 3 points. I brought up the issue of the assessed values, the fact of how frequently property values are assessed, trying to address the fact that it creates a hardship on our citizens when they suddenly see their tax rates go up significantly.
Mhm.
And basically, they pointed out, I believe the comment was, the assessor is an elected position, and that's not their, they don't have control over that. So if I want to escalate that, I've got to go talk to the assessor. But currently, they are basically not reviewing properties except for once every 6 years. Apparently, they got the county divided into 6 different chunks, and they don't even look at a property except for every 6 years. And
Did they say anything about an appeal process?
I didn't know, because they pretty much told me. So I brought up the issue of liens, and again, they referred me to the assessor. But here's what I found out. Liens can be placed on a property, and stay there perpetually. It is not their responsibility or obligation to make sure that a lien is cleared before it changes ownership. All a lien is really is a warning flag to a new purchaser that there is money owed on the property, and that it would take a title search to find it, which means if somebody's paying cash, they may not be doing a title search, and if they don't do a title search, it just doesn't come up. So liens, unfortunately, are not an effective way for us to enforce. So I think, to Councilwoman Meats's comment, I think collections are about the only direction we can go. The other nice thing about collections, quite honestly, is we're not limited by the 4 months of this, 6 months of that, which you're limited to when you place a lien. So it's just, hey, there's an outstanding bill, here it is. And it goes to the owner, so we don't have to worry about who is paying the bill, because it's really the owner of the property's responsibility. So we're on a mission of trying to find a collection agency.
There are rental situations. So when we go after the owner of the property for the bill, and we say, you haven't paid, you own the property, we're going after you. And they say, no, 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 you're supposed to be going after the renter, because we have an agreement that they're gonna be paying the bill. We can say, that's not our problem, and maybe it's not, but my contention is, at least
Court
we
bill.
should no longer accept payment from anyone who does not have the title to the property, because otherwise we're gonna continue to set ourselves up, the people are gonna yell at us, thinking that if they yell at us long enough and loud enough, they can say it's unfair because I'm not supposed to be paying that bill. And we're just going to keep saying to them, yes, you are, yes, you are, yes, you are. We're going to spend a lot of time and stress and effort. Or we can just say, we won't, I'm sorry, but we won't let the renter pay. Like, it might be legal for you to set your agreement up that way, but we won't accept it.
Is there, along those lines, good, thank you. Before service is rendered or signed up, is there any kind of documentation that we could protect ourselves, that responsible party legally, that would cover that? If they're signing it, that is the person that we go after, period?
So I will confess, I've been asking for research to be done on
Mhm.
how do we
Correct.
collect? What are those steps? What do we have to do to turn off water and what have you? But these questions, what leads up to it, I haven't been looking at. So I need to revisit the ordinances. Some of these are from 1985. So it might be another case where we just need to rewrite an ordinance to address. Yes, I agree. There's a lot of places. Most large municipalities do not accept water utility service from the renter. Spokane does, but the bill goes out in duplicate every month.
Which is an extra cost, but it will deal with.
There's an extra cost built into that. So that bill
to the person who's paying is paying an extra $10 or something like that every month for that privilege. So we could do something like that. But I agree, it's not, the landlord does not want to be the last one to find out that something's late. And I think, aren't we notifying landlords? Something's getting late. So
They get a
we're
smiley
already
face
telling
around
them, yeah, we're already telling the landlord, those are past it. So,
Well, see, here's the uniqueness of the renting and the landlord tenant. Generally, like my experience has been, your rent is the landlord paying the ownership. That's actually called a cleanest.
And why someone stuck to it that
It saves a lot of, this saves a lot of BS. It's usually multi-family apartments. Doing all that, I mean, how about just plain shutting it off?
Well, that's what we've been doing is we've been looking at what duties do we have to shut it off? Of all those people, every single one of them has a late fee. We could shut off the water. We could start sending out notices tonight. Because our ordinance is literally first month, when it's 5 days late, if you follow the ordinance, a shut off notice, 10-day shut off notice goes out right then and
I know Odessa, Sprague, Davenport, others, they're all in the same boat, but they've had pretty good compliance, but they turn the water off.
yes, they do. And Deanne called on each one of them. What do you guys do? What's your process? And they don't screw around.
And
We're like the only ones that lets it carry on for month after month after month. They're literally 10
That
days
becomes-
late. Shut off notice.
So I know we touched bases with our attorney on this, and can't recollect exactly what it said. I think it's kind of long.
Basically, follow your ordinances. Is what it
Yeah.
said.
And so you have to start doing that along with,
Well, that's
What does
on
it
me. It's
entail? Does it entail going to their water meter and putting a lock on it?
shutting it off.
And then
Now
what
we have
happens
one-
when these
we
people
have-
go and take bolt cutters?
But a lot of them don't have locks.
some of them don't have the little tang to lock them.
Yeah.
So we have one property in town where the person wasn't paying their bills. She was squatting. She was evicted. As soon as that eviction was, the 90 days was up and everything, he called the city, asked the clerks to have the water shut off. Ken went and shut the water off and put a boulder on the top of the water meter.
There you go.
And the water's not been turned on, and the person is, I think, gone.
Zona.
Yeah, but it took-
Gone.
They weren't there that night. They called and said some very unpleasant things to Deanne.
On that note, the water should.
That's
Anybody know what how they handle this? Has anyone had their power shut? You always hear about people getting threatened, but does anybody know? Do they actually cut the switch? Be done.
yes. Pre-COVID, a couple of people that happened to. They didn't pay the bill. They didn't pay the bill. They showed up and they said, "You need." They knocked on the door and said, "We need this X number of dollars to prevent this." I don't have it. I'm sure our new water meters will include mechanisms to turn off the water or both, or on both. Now, in this person, in this case, had the water turned on, and she just went and turned it back on because it wasn't a way to lock it.
But that's a criminal thing.
She actually went to jail for that. And that court case comes up next week. No, I'm sorry, next month. Theft of public utilities. So,
Do we, that rock on top of Are those boxes meant to, like, maybe we should get some kind of large plates? Like, is that boulder gonna damage the box? I went by it and I'm like, this-
I think it's a concrete box. B, I think the boulder is big enough that it's actually on
Just
dirt.
displacing some.
I didn't think box.
Well, depends how it's placed.
Oh, the meter on my back. Um, it's got a concrete box and it's a mess. So it's in pieces.
So I think as we do inventory, and actually as I'm starting to get the meters read again, thank you for saying that. I'll make sure that that's part of the clipboard, like box broken or what have you. We need to get all this stuff.
I was gonna go to Home Depot and just buy a plastic one, but I'm sure there's probably a
You're gonna get one free replacement.
okay.
Okay. I brought up the issue. The third thing I brought up to the issue was animal control.
Mm-hmm.
And this was actually before last spring. They're not opposed to helping with animal control. They just don't know how to pay for it. So I have reached out to some by phone, some by email, but every other city in the county to see if we can put the mayor's meetings back on the plate so we can meet regularly. And I told them my ulterior motive was to talk about this animal control issue. Unfortunately, I've only had 2 of the other mayors respond. One I spoke to from Wilbur today. She loves dogs and is passionate about them. They've kind of got their own unspoken process. There's a animal rescue place out there that they work with. And yes, if we have a dog, if we have somebody drop a dog off here, abandon a dog here, we do have a kennel, we do have a bag of food, we can care for it. I'm concerned about that as much as I'm concerned about the dog that somebody leaves behind and it's vicious and it's mean. How do we get it? So it's going to be a long process. County doesn't have an animal control system. Cities think they have a system.
As far as compliance with number dogs.
Because our ordinances are long before I've been here, and multiple times, and you go through our dog ordinances, and there's many of them. It's always too. It's first installed, I think.
Mm-hmm.
They allowed for 3 if you already happen to pre-exist. But as soon as one of them passed, that was done. 2 and 2 on. It's kept me from.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I've been up to. So that's all I have.
Okay. To adjourn.
It's for discussion. We have a first and a second to adjourn. All in favor? 8:50. Thank you.